Hello again to this video clip series, My Journey to God in a Very Secularized World. You can find all of this in the article that I published, A Damn Priest Warns About Hell. We are going through now the actual words of the exorcist and the damn priest of an exorcism, I think April 5th, 1978, I believe. And we got into the part where the damned priest was forced to talk about the example of temperance that Jesus Christ gave. He had finished by saying that that Jesus did indeed participate in banquets to which he was invited by various people, but at these meals he did not eat very much, but he did so only because, and then the exorcist intervenes and says, "Speak the truth and only the truth. Verity, say the truth and only the truth in the name of Jesus Christ." And so Verity then continues his statement. He says, "He did this, so to speak, for charity toward the neighbor. He did not eat very much. He always ate quite frugally. And we will not talk about the times when he was not attending the feasts. Christ suffered hunger very much, more than you think. The Holy Family and the Apostles suffered greatly from hunger and fasting. Otherwise, they would not have received the graces that were granted to them. Of course, Christ had in him all the fullness of grace. He no longer had need of grace, and in particular would not have been necessary to implore grace with prayer. He was the grace and the light in person, but he had to give the example to the apostles and to all of humanity, in particular with the loud voice to priests, bishops, superiors, cardinals, and the Pope. He gave the example in the most complete degree, the best and the most perfect, but what good did it do? Now the priests eat at the tables more richly served with dessert, wine, and all the condiments. Sometimes they go on a spree to the point of hurting their health, and they even believe that it is quite normal when one is a bishop or one has a high place. The cooks who make food for these bishops and religious authorities, and also for certain priests, believe with the utmost good faith that you should bring to the table this and that. He is a great Lord. He is dressed with high dignity. We ought to be ashamed if we do not serve them this and that. But they forget that it is not the imitation of Christ. It would be better for these cooks to indicate to the bishops, priests, superiors, and cardinals that Christ gave the example of poverty and virtue. He up there, once pointing upwards, wants us to practice the imitation of Christ with a loud voice, he says this, and what is being done at the present time is completely contrary to the imitation of Jesus Christ. Many live in refinement, luxury, and abundance, to the point of excess, to the point even of sinfulness. Sin does not begin only when it really begins. Sin begins already when it is no longer taught renunciation and when it is no longer practiced. Sin already begins when the person could practice asceticism, but he does not. Certainly, it does not start here, complete sin in its true sense. But the road that leads there already begins when you stop practicing renunciation, when we do not want to sacrifice, and when we follow the path of least resistance. So the way that leads to the first sin, be it venial sin, or that one arrives even to mortal sin, is no longer far away, because we down here, pointing downward with the woman, her being possessed, we have an immense power, and we always do what we can. We are instructed so well, even we, human demons, we are instructed and guided so well that we always take the person in this way or in a better way. But when someone has never really ... And so the exorcist interrupts again, and he says, "Speak the truth in the name of Jesus Christ, and only the truth. Verdi garandiu, only the truth." Now we go into the part, you might say the next part that Verdi will talk about, the stages of the fall. The stages of the fall. So Verdi then continued that when he said, but when someone really, never really, ... he then continues, when someone has never really perfectly followed the way of Christ with his poverty and his virtues, the way of prayer, of the cross, of renunciation, of sacrifice, of virtue, when he omits only one of these things or neglects it completely, then we try to take him from that point. If it is just a fiber of his clothes, it is though already a fiber, and over time it can poison all of his clothes. He groans. I do not want to talk anymore. So the exorcist then intervenes. Speak the truth, Verdi gandiu, for the glory of God, about your life, about how the life of the priest should be. Say the truth for the glory of God. He continues. He says, my priesthood, perhaps I thought I had a vocation and I wanted, of course, I meant to become a good priest, but a priest must never forget, a priest is in more danger of being seduced than a layperson by us down here from hell. Perhaps also the laity have this danger, especially the privileged souls or those who hold an important position. But a priest has a very high consecration, and because he has a very high consecration, and with it can harm us down here, pointing downward, in the most devastating way. We rage more against priests than against other men. This is what happened, crying. This is what happened also to me. I thought, and then he paused, and so the exorcist interrupts again. Speak the truth, Verdi, only the truth in the name of Jesus Christ, for the glory of God, only the truth about your life. Now we begin this part about how he abandonment of prayer, how he abandoned prayer. Verdi continued then, I thought, now I am a priest. I have reached my goal. At first, I exercised my ministry still pretty well, but then at a certain point, I found it too monotonous. I began to neglect the prayer of the breviary. At first, I no longer prayed the whole prayer. Then gradually, I began to no longer recite the prayer anymore. When it was a busy day, or when it seemed to be a busy day. Right at the beginning, I put it off, and then all of a sudden, I ended up, I do not want to talk. And so the exorcist interrupts again. Speak the truth, Verdi, in the name of Jesus Christ for the glory of God. Speak the truth about your life in order to warn the priests. Say the truth, only the truth. And Verdi then continues. And then, all of a sudden, I came to think, these tedious prayers of the breviary. These prayers are long and take an incredible amount of time. I thought, but it would have been better not to think so, because this suspension of the prayer of the breviary was fatal for me. He continues, he says, when I stopped reciting it, I fell gradually into sin. But when I fell into sin, the sin of impurity, obviously I stopped saying my Mass with recollection. Already I was not in a state of grace. The Bible and everything that is in it was for me a reproach. The Ten Commandments and the New Testament were to me a call to order, because I no longer lived them in their truest sense. Since all of this was for me a call to order, I no longer wanted to teach the children as one should, and in depth, in fact. How could I inculcate in them the good while I myself no longer lived it. And for this I must say, I do not want to talk. And so again the exorcist intervenes and he says, in the name of Jesus Christ, in the name of the most holy sacrament of the altar, speak the truth and only the truth about the life and conduct of the priest. We'll continue in the next video clip. May God bless you and Mary guide you.